Hey everybody, it's Crystal Clear 101 here with another toy review. I have another Transformers toy review, and today we'll be reviewing the Deluxe Class Transformers Generations IDW version Orion Pax. Now this one includes a comic, and the retail on this one was $12.99. First off, here's the front of its packaging. Now as far as official Hasbro, this is the first official Orion Pax we are getting from Hasbro. I know there's been a few third-party Orion Paxes, mainly the G1 style, but as I said, this is supposed to be the IDW version of him. Here's the reverse side of his packaging. Here's his tat spec right down here. As you can see, it's also the 30th anniversary of the Transformers. Alright, now with that being shown, let me go ahead and break them open. We'll look at the comic, we'll look at the figure, and let's see how decent this figure is. Be back in just a moment. Alright, and here is the comic that comes with Orion Pax. Now, first off, it's a 11-page comic, and it basically tells how Orion Pax becomes Optimus Prime. And I'll go ahead and tell you, this is a story of Orion Pax that I am not familiar with, but then again, this is by IDW. But it's a pretty interesting little story. And if you guys would like to, if you guys would want me to make a video about the comic itself, you know, panel for panel, do comment below and I will try to make a video on it. That's for people who either A, do not have the figure itself, B, those who do have the figure but they don't want to open it to try and keep its value, or 3, there is a version of this in other countries where you get the figure, but it doesn't come with a comic. It was just a regular Generations figure without the comic. But it's a very good little read. And you find out a good bit about Orion Pax. So if you guys want me to make a video about the comic, panel for panel, comment below and I'll try and make a video on it. And I'll try and make that happen for you guys. Now, as far as the Orion Pax itself is concerned, well, first off, let's go ahead and give a little 360 on this fellow right here. Now, as you can probably guess, just from his color scheme, it makes you think Optimus Prime. And in case you're not familiar with the character of Orion Pax, he is who eventually becomes Optimus Prime in the Transformers lore. But as far as my pros about this figure, I'll go ahead and get that out of the way. I do have a few pros about this figure that I really do like. Number 1 is his color scheme. His color scheme not only does it make you think Optimus Prime, but overall it is actually a very, very attractive looking color scheme. It's one of those that, you know, it's as soon as you see it, it's going to get your attention. I will say, this is visually a very eye-catching figure. Because it's automatically going to make you think Optimus Prime. Number 2, I love the articulation for this figure. I mean, you can have him in so many different poses. And when I do go over the articulation for this guy, I think you might be surprised as to what kind of articulation he really does have. Number 3, his weapons. I like the weapons that he comes with. He does come with some very Prime-ish weapons. Now, as far as what this weapon's called, I'm not too sure, but it looks very reminiscent of his Ion Blaster. And on top of that, he does come with a Energon Axe. Now, I'm not too sure, but to me, it does kind of look like Prime's axe from, I almost want to say War for Cybertron. It does look kind of reminiscent of that. But I don't have my War for Cybertron Optimus with me, otherwise I'd see how well it would fit him. But the 2 weapons he comes with, those are very nice little weapons. Number 4, as random as it's going to sound to go with the articulation, he's got independent wrist articulation. It's not just one solid piece. Hold on, there we go. As you can see, you can actually rotate his wrist. So it's just not in one static position. You can actually pose his weapons however you damn well please. So that for me is always a plus. That's always a plus. Number 5, he comes with a comic book. It's not the fact he comes with a comic book, it's the fact that it comes with a comic that actually explains this character's origins. So, the fact you get a $3 comic or so that comes with a figure retails from a low of 10 to a high of 15. It was actually pretty cool that Hasbro would actually release a comic along with a figure, actually explaining the character's origins, his background, stuff like that. So that for me is always a plus, if you can actually learn a little more about a character's origins. Now, do I have any cons about this figure? I do. I do have a few cons. Number 1, for a Generations figure, he does have a somewhat complex transformation. It took me a few minutes to figure him out, but I was able to figure him out, but his transformation is kind of complex, as you'll see in just a minute. And number 2, for me, his vehicle mode, as you can see for his robot mode, he is actually a reasonably good size. But his vehicle mode, to me, just seems kind of small. Like, size-wise, it seems to me like it's a little bit bigger than a Scout class when he's in vehicle mode. But, I mean, those are really my only true complaints about this figure. But as far as his transformation is concerned, let's go ahead and take a look, see how complex his transformation actually is. Now here's Orion Pax's alternate mode. As you can see, it's basically a truck. It's still a truck. But as you can see, when compared to my hand, it is fairly small. I don't know how well you can tell, but this is actually fairly small. But the good thing is that color-wise, it's actually still a very attractive looking vehicle. As you can see, it's mainly red, blue, It's got silver, it's got some yellow highlights, a little bit of gray, but it still says Optimus Prime. Even though it's supposed to be Orion Pax, it still says Optimus Prime. So, as far as the alt mode is concerned, it still looks really good, but as you saw, the transformation for a Deluxe class figure was actually kind of complex. Now, aside from his alt mode actually looking pretty good, he does roll very easily. I have no issues getting him to roll. And there are little peg holes on both sides of the front of the rear tires that act as weapon storage. So you can plug in his rifle and his axe in his alt mode. So he still has weapon storage. And on top of that, you can also arm him up a little bit. But overall, I really don't have any complaints about him other than the size of his alternate mode. But aside from that, I mean, you saw that his transformation was a little complex. But aside from that, he still looks good. My only complaint, really, aside from his transformation being a little complex, is that to me, he's just a little small in his alternate mode. Those are my only complaints about this character in his alternate mode. Weapons and accessories for Orion Pax include an Energon axe, as well as a rifle that becomes the basis of Optimus Prime's Ion Blaster. An articulation for Orion Pax consists of a ball-jointed head, swivel hinge shoulders, swivel biceps, hinge elbows, swivel hinge wrist, swivel waist, ball-jointed hips, swivel thighs, hinge knees, and hinge ankles with ball-jointed feet. So what is my overall verdict on Generations IDW Orion Pax? Aside from the few complaints I do have about this figure, primarily his transformation, I absolutely adore this version of Orion Pax, the pre-Optimus Prime. But the fact he's got great articulation, his color scheme, which is actually overall attractive, his overall setup, the fact he also comes with a comic book, this little set's a flat-out win. This set for me is just an outright home run. But if you're a fan of Optimus Prime, do consider picking up Orion Pax, as this is where Optimus Prime originated from, how he originally started out. And the fact you get a comic that actually explains Orion's beginning of rise to being Optimus Prime, this just makes it a very sweet little bundle, very sweet little package. So if you can find this guy, I highly recommend that you pick him up and add him to your collection. But that'll wrap up my review on the Transformers Generations Deluxe Class IDW Orion Pax. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe.